Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something straight up. How many people in your life do you take for granted right now? And more importantly, how many people do you think are taking you for granted? You see, human beings are wired in a strange way. We don't always appreciate what we have until it's gone. It's not because we're bad people, it's because we're busy people. We're distracted. And so we overlook the value in the people who are right in front of us every single day. But here's the truth: when you're gone, whether you've walked out of a relationship, stepped away from a team, or God forbid, left this world entirely, that's when your true value is felt the most. First, there's the void, that empty space you used to fill. Your energy, your insight, your presence. Suddenly it's not there anymore. And the crazy thing, people might not even realize how much of an impact you had until they feel that absence. Second, there's regret. And let me tell you something about regret. It's one of the heaviest emotional weights a person can carry. I should have told her I appreciated her more. I wish I had been there for him when he needed me. These thoughts will haunt people when you're gone. But here's the kicker, and I want you to really let this sink in. Your absence is also a gift. Yeah, you heard me right. Sometimes stepping away or being removed from someone's life is the only way they'll ever wake up to the truth of what you brought to the table. So what's the lesson here? Don't wait for absence to teach the value of presence. If you're the one being overlooked, remind yourself your worth doesn't decrease because others fail to see it. And if you're the one taking someone for granted, wake up. Take a moment, look around. Who's adding value to your life right now? Who are you ignoring? Because let me tell you something, legacies aren't built in the noise of presence. They're revealed in the silence of absence. So whether you're the one who stays or the one who walks away, make sure your impact leaves a mark so deep that when you're gone, the people left behind are inspired not just to miss you, but to be better because of you. You know, one of the most fascinating and heartbreaking things about human nature is how often we undervalue what's right in front of us. It's not because we're bad people, and it's not even because we don't care. It's because we don't care. It's because we're distracted. We're caught up in our routines, our responsibilities, and our endless pursuit of the next thing, the next goal, the next achievement, the next moment. And in that chase, we lose sight of the people who show up for us every day. Think about it. How often do we pause and acknowledge the friend who always listens, the colleague who quietly picks up the slack, the partner who supports us even on our worst days? For most of us, it's rare. Because there's an assumption baked into our psychology. We assume they'll always be there. And that assumption, my friends, is one of the most dangerous mental traps we can fall into. Let me tell you something. Every person you interact with is carrying a story, an experience, and a level of value that's unique to them. Their presence in your life, whether it's consistent, occasional, or fleeting, is a gift. But here's the kicker: gifts aren't always appreciated when they're handed to us. Sometimes they're only appreciated when they're taken away. Imagine someone close to you, maybe a friend, a mentor, or a family member. Now imagine they decide to walk away, not out of anger, not of spite, but simply because they felt unseen, unheard, or unappreciated. The weight of that realization hits like a freight train when you notice the empty seat at the table, the unanswered phone calls, the silence where their laughter used to be. And suddenly, all the little things they did, the way they encouraged you, the way they supported you, become glaringly obvious in their absence. You see, presence isn't just about being physically there. Presence is emotional, mental, and spiritual. Presence means showing up with your full attention, with your full heart. It means being engaged, being intentional, and recognizing the value someone brings to your life while they're still there to hear you say it. But here's the harsh truth: most people only realize the weight of presence once it turns into absence. That's why funerals are often filled with tearful confessions, heartfelt eulogies, and promises to never take anyone for granted again. But why do we wait until someone is gone to pour out our gratitude? Why do we wait until it's too late to say, "You matter to me"? If there's one thing I know for sure, it's this: every single interaction you have with someone is an opportunity to recognize their worth. Whether it's a smile, a thank you, or a heartfelt conversation, it all counts. Because the truth is, nobody owes you their presence. Every moment someone chooses to spend with you is a choice, and it's one they could have made differently. So let's stop acting like the people around us are permanent fixtures in our lives. They're not. They're human beings with their own struggles, their own dreams, and their own needs. And if we fail to acknowledge their value now, we might find ourselves staring at an empty space where they used to stand, haunted by the echoes of everything we didn't say. Don't let that be your story. Start valuing presence today, because once it turns into absence, all you'll be left with are memories, and regret doesn't make for good company. When someone significant leaves your life, whether they walk away from a relationship, resign from a job, or even pass away, they don't just leave physically, they leave a void. And this isn't just an emotional concept, it's a deeply practical and undeniable reality. You don't realize how much space someone occupies mentally, emotionally, spiritually until they're no longer there to fill it. Think about a time when someone left your life unexpectedly. Maybe it was a friend who stopped calling, a partner who walked away, or even a mentor who retired. At first, you might not have fully grasped what their absence meant. You might have brushed it off thinking, life goes on, I'll adjust, but then slowly you start noticing the empty spaces they once filled. You notice the silence where their voice used to be. You notice how certain situations feel heavier without their support. You notice how tasks that seemed effortless when they were around suddenly feel burdensome. Because every person in your life brings something unique, a rhythm, energy, a contribution that no one else can replicate in exactly the same way. Here's what's fascinating. Most people underestimate the ripple effect of their presence. They think, oh, I'm just one person. My absence won't make a difference, but that couldn't be further from the truth. When someone leaves, they don't just disappear, they displace. Their absence creates a gap, and that gap echoes. It disrupts routines, affects relationships, and changes dynamics. Let's say you're part of a team at work, and there's one person who always brings positivity to meetings. They're the one cracking jokes, diffusing tension, and reminding everyone of the bigger picture. If that person leaves, it's not just their tasks that become someone else's responsibility, it's their energy. And energy, my friends, isn't something you can just delegate to another person. In relationships, the void hits even harder. Maybe it's the late night conversations you took for granted, or the little acts of kindness you barely noticed, the way they always made you coffee in the morning, or how they remembered your favorite snack. These aren't grand gestures, but they're signatures of someone's presence. And when those signatures are suddenly erased, you feel it. But here's where it gets even more profound sometimes. The void someone leaves behind isn't just about them, it's about you. Their absence forces you to confront parts of yourself you were avoiding. Maybe you leaned on them for emotional support in ways you didn't even realize. Maybe they were a buffer between you and your fears, your insecurities, or your doubts. When they're gone, all those unaddressed feelings come rushing in, and you're left face to face with yourself. The void someone leaves behind is, in many ways, a mirror. It reflects the true impact they had on your life, and it reflects your own capacity to adapt, to grow, and to learn from their absence. But let me tell you something, voids are not inherently negative. Yes, they're painful. Yes, they can feel unbearable at times. But they're also opportunities. They're opportunities to step up, to honor that person's contribution, and to ask yourself, what did I learn from them? How can I carry forward their legacy? Because here's the thing, someone's absence doesn't mean their impact is gone. The way they made you feel, the lessons they taught you, and the energy they brought into your life that doesn't disappear. It lives on through you, through your actions, and through the way you choose to show up for others. So when someone leaves and you feel that void, don't just sit in the emptiness, recognize it, honor it. And then ask yourself, how can I fill this space with something meaningful? Because if you do that, their absence won't just be a loss, it'll become a catalyst for growth. Regret is one of the heaviest emotions a person can carry, and it has a unique way of sneaking up on you when someone is gone. You see, regret doesn't always scream, it whispers. It creeps in during quiet moments, in the stillness of the night, in the spaces where conversations used to happen but no longer do. And what does it whisper? I should have said more, I should have done more. I should have shown them how much they mattered to me. Unspoken words and unexpressed gratitude have a way of turning into emotional weights. And the thing about these weights is that they're self-inflicted. Nobody else put them there. Nobody handed them to you. You created them by holding back, by assuming there would always be more time, more opportunities, more tomorrows. Why do we hold back? Why do we bite our tongues when our hearts are screaming to speak? Sometimes it's pride. Sometimes it's fear of vulnerability, fear of rejection, fear of looking foolish. And sometimes it's just complacency. We assume people know how we feel. We assume they understand their importance in our lives. But assumptions are dangerous because they leave room for silence, and silence leaves room for regret. I think about it. How many times have you thought about reaching out to someone just to say thank you, just to apologize, just to tell them you care, but then stopped yourself? Maybe you thought, I'll do it tomorrow. But what happens when tomorrow never comes? What happens when that person is no longer there to hear those words? Regret doesn't come from what we did. It comes from what we didn't do. The missed opportunities, the unasked questions, the unsaid I love yous, the unspoken I'm proud of yous. These are the things that linger in our minds long after someone is gone. They become echoes in the spaces they once occupied. You know, there's a strange irony in how we treat people. We save our most heartfelt words for eulogies, our most sincere compliments for farewell speeches, and our most profound gratitude for final moments. But why? Why do we wait for someone to be gone before we tell them how much they meant to us? Why do we think vulnerability is only acceptable when it's too late to change anything? Listen to me, the words you're holding back, the gratitude you're keeping locked away, the forgiveness you're hesitating to offer, they're not meant to be saved for later, because later is never guaranteed. Life is unpredictable. People are unpredictable. And the scariest part, you never know which conversation might be your last. But here's the good news, regret is preventable. It's one of the few emotional burdens you can avoid entirely if you act now. Say the words. Make the call. Write the letter. Show up. Show love. Because once someone is gone, all the words you wish you'd said will stay trapped inside you, and trust me, they'll feel a lot heavier then. Regret doesn't just live in your mind, it lives in your heart, your spirit, your body. It becomes part of your story. But you have the power to write a different story. One where you didn't hold back. One where you didn't assume there would always be more time. One where the people in your life didn't have to wonder how you felt about them because you told them. So here's my challenge to you. Think of someone in your life right now, someone who's made a difference, someone who's shown up for you, someone you care about. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Reach out. Say the words. Because the pain of vulnerability today is nothing compared to the weight of regret tomorrow. Distance has a peculiar way of sharpening perspective. When someone is no longer in your daily orbit, whether they walked away, you let them go, or life simply pulled you in different directions, something fascinating happens, clarity sets in. You begin to see things you missed before. You start to recognize their contributions, their sacrifices, their unwavering presence. Because reflection thrives in absence. You see, when someone is close, when they're right there, day after day, it's easy to overlook the subtleties of their value. It's like staring at a beautiful painting from 2 inches away, you can't fully appreciate the entire picture. But when they're gone, when distance stretches between you and them, suddenly you see it, all the details, the brushstrokes, the masterpiece of who they were in your life. This clarity isn't always immediate. Sometimes it takes weeks, months, or even years for the realization to sink in. You start to notice little reminders, a song that brings back a memory, a phrase they used to say, a certain way they laughed. And those reminders hit hard because they're no longer part of your everyday experience. The absence forces you to slow down and feel. It removes the noise and distractions of daily interactions, leaving you face to face with the raw reality of what that person meant to you. And let me tell you something about clarity, it's not always gentle. Sometimes it hits like a hammer to the chest and you find yourself asking, why didn't I see this before? Why didn't I appreciate them while they were still here? But clarity is also a teacher. It reveals not just the value of the person you've lost, but also your own blind spots, your assumptions, your complacency, your failure to express gratitude when it mattered most. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Because true growth begins in those moments of discomfort, where you're forced to confront the gap between what you knew then and what you understand now. Here's something powerful. Absence doesn't just show you who someone was, it shows you who you were with them. Maybe they brought out a version of you that you haven't seen in a long time, someone more patient, more joyful, more alive. Maybe they gave you confidence you didn't realize was borrowed from their encouragement. When they're no longer there to provide that energy, you feel it. You feel the void, but you also feel the mirror they left behind, reflecting the parts of yourself they helped nurture. And this is where reflection becomes a turning point. You have two choices. You can let regret consume you, or you can let clarity transform you. You can use what you've realized to show up differently for the people still in your life. You can choose to listen more attentively, to express gratitude more freely, to love more intentionally. You see, clarity isn't just about looking back, it's about moving forward with new awareness. The people who stepped out of your life, whether by choice or by circumstance, have left you with a gift perspective. And if you're wise, you won't let that perspective go to waste. But here's the truth: reflection doesn't just happen by accident. You have to make space for it. You have to allow yourself to sit in the discomfort, to ask hard questions, and to accept honest answers. That's where transformation happens. So let me ask you something. Who in your life are you overlooking right now? Who are you unintentionally taking for granted because you're too close to see the full picture? Don't wait for distance to teach you their value. Don't wait for silence to remind you of their voice. Because here's the reality: reflection forced by absence is painful, but reflection chosen in presence is powerful. Choose it now. Choose it now. Choose it while they're still here. Because clarity in real time, that's a gift not just to them, but to you. Sometimes the most powerful lesson you can give someone is your absence. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but stay with me. There are moments in life when your presence, your energy, your effort, your love is being overlooked, undervalued, or taken for granted. And no matter how much you show up, no matter how much you give, the people on the receiving end just can't see it. Not because they're bad people, not because they don't care, but because they've become comfortable with your presence. Human beings have this strange tendency to devalue what's consistent. It's like air, we only notice it when we can't breathe. And sometimes the only way someone can truly recognize your worth is by feeling what it's like without you. Now, let me make something clear. I'm not talking about playing games. I'm not talking about manipulating people by pulling away to make them chase you. No, this isn't about revenge, it's about awareness. Sometimes stepping back isn't about them at all, it's about you. It's about reclaiming your energy, your peace, and your self-respect when your efforts are being taken for granted. You see, your absence creates space, a vacuum, and in that space, awareness begins to grow. The little things you did, the way you showed up, the stability you provided. Suddenly, those things become glaringly obvious. Because when you're constantly there, constantly available, constantly dependable, it's easy for people to think that's just how it's supposed to be. They forget it's a choice you made every day. But when you step back, when you withdraw that energy, that attention, that effort, something profound happens. People are forced to confront the gap you leave behind. They're forced to sit in the silence where your laughter used to be. They're forced to face the tasks you used to handle without them even noticing. And let me tell you, that silence is loud. But here's the key: you have to step away with intention. Don't just disappear out of anger or frustration. That's reactive. And step away with purpose. Step away because you recognize that your worth isn't defined by someone else's recognition of it. Step away because you understand that sometimes absence is the only thing powerful enough to wake people up. And here's something else you need to understand: not everyone will wake up. Some people will notice your absence and they'll miss you. They'll reflect, they'll grow, and they'll come back with a renewed appreciation. But others might not notice at all. And that's okay. Because their response isn't a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of theirs. When you step away, it's not just about teaching others a lesson, it's about teaching yourself one too. It's about realizing that your worth doesn't diminish because someone failed to see it. It's about understanding that your time, your love, your energy, they're gifts. And gifts are meant to be appreciated, not expected. But let me be clear, absence isn't always about walking away forever. Sometimes it's temporary. Sometimes it's just enough space to let people recalibrate their perspective. But whether it's temporary or permanent, the lesson remains the same. You cannot force someone to see your value. You cannot make someone appreciate you. All you can do is show up authentically, give wholeheartedly, and if necessary, step back boldly. Because here's the truth: your absence isn't just a void, it's a mirror. It reflects back to people what they valued, what they ignored, and what they lost. And for some, that reflection will be the wake-up call they needed. For others, it won't. But for you, your absence is an act of self-respect. It's a declaration that your presence is earned, not owed. And when you operate from that mindset, you stop chasing validation and you start attracting people who truly value what you bring to the table. So if you ever find yourself feeling unseen, undervalued, or taken for granted, remember this: sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for others is to step back and let them feel your absence. Because in that space, the most important realizations are born. Time has a way of revealing truths that often go unnoticed in the rush of our daily lives. When someone realizes you're gone, whether you've walked away, drifted apart, or left this world entirely, time becomes a magnifying glass. It doesn't just pass, it stretches moments, highlights memories, and amplifies every detail of what you brought into their life. Time turns ordinary moments into profound reflections, and it forces people to see what they once overlooked. In the beginning, your absence might feel like a temporary inconvenience. They might think, oh, I'll adjust, I'll move on, and maybe they will for a while. But time has a way of peeling back layers. It starts with small things. A song comes on the radio that reminds them of you. They pass by a place you used to visit together, or they find something you gave them tucked away in a drawer. And suddenly, they're not just hearing a song, walking past a location, or holding an object they're feeling the weight of your absence, the uniqueness of your presence, and the realization that what you brought into their life wasn't ordinary, it was extraordinary. Time reveals the gaps left behind by your presence. The void you filled with your laughter, your kindness, your consistency, it all becomes painfully clear. Maybe you were the person who always checked in, the one who remembered birthdays without a reminder, the one who showed up when nobody else did. Those things might have seemed small at the time, but in your absence, they become monumental. But time doesn't just reveal your contributions, it also reveals their choices. It shows them the opportunities they missed to express gratitude, the moments they failed to be fully present, and the ways they might have taken you for granted. And let me tell you something, that realization is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry. Because while time can reveal the truth, it can't reverse it. Regret grows in the soil of missed opportunities, and time tends to water it generously. The longer someone sits with the realization of your absence, the deeper their understanding becomes of what you truly meant to them. They start to recognize that your presence wasn't just a convenience, it was a gift. Your energy, your support, your love, these weren't things they were entitled to. They were choices you made day after day, moment after moment. But here's the thing about time, it's also a teacher. It doesn't just expose what was lost, it offers a lesson about value. It teaches people to be more present, to express gratitude more freely, and to cherish those who are still around. Sometimes your absence becomes the catalyst for someone else's growth. Your departure becomes the moment they realize they need to change, not just for themselves, but for the people still in their lives. But let's flip this around for a second. Time doesn't just teach them, it teaches you. When you step away, or when someone steps away from you, time gives you clarity too. You start to see who truly valued you, who noticed your absence, and who was willing to meet you halfway. Because time isn't just a mirror for them, it's a mirror for you as well. And here's the truth, time doesn't heal all wounds, but it does offer perspective. It gives people a chance to process, to reflect, and to grow. Sometimes they'll come back with a newfound understanding, an apology, or a willingness to do better. Other times they won't. And that's okay, because time doesn't always bring people back together. It often just reveals who is willing to fight to keep you in their life in the first place. But regardless of whether someone learns a lesson or not, your value isn't defined by their realization. Your worth isn't dictated by whether someone recognizes it in hindsight. You were valuable while you were there, and you remain valuable now that you're gone. So understand this time is powerful, but it's also impartial. It doesn't pick sides. It simply reveals. It reveals the weight of your absence, the impact of your presence, and the lessons left behind in your wake. And whether someone learns from those revelations or not, one thing remains true: your presence matters. Your efforts matter. You matter. And time will make sure that truth is felt, even if it's long after you're gone. At the end of the day, life is fleeting, relationships are fragile, and time is unforgiving. The truth is, we never truly realize the full weight of someone's presence until they're gone, whether they walked away, drifted apart, or left this world entirely. But here's what we must understand: presence is a gift, absence is a teacher, and time is the judge. If someone in your life matters to you, let them know now. Don't wait for tomorrow, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Say the words, show the love, express the gratitude. If you've been undervalued, overlooked, or taken for granted, remember this: sometimes your absence will teach lessons your presence never could. But whatever side of the equation you find yourself on, whether you're the one who's gone or the one left behind, use the clarity, the reflection, and the lessons that follow to grow. The weight of regret is far heavier than the discomfort of vulnerability. Choose to live in a way that leaves nothing unsaid, no gratitude withheld, and no love unexpressed. Because when all is said and done, the legacy you leave isn't in your words, it's in the way you made people feel. So step up. Show up. And if you ever have to walk away, do so with integrity, knowing that you gave your best while you were there. Because whether through your presence or your absence, you have the power to change lives. And that, my friend, is a responsibility and a privilege that should never be taken lightly.